All right, here's a final video. So we've got a system of witchcraft, and we are going to work this out and read a very kind of intense description of people who are afflicted, people who do the unwitching, people that do the annunciation. It's all going to get to be details. We've just got this whole day, this whole what we read coming up to here is very much a forward or a preface to the work. And in the rest of the work, we are going to learn so much about the intricate details of a number of people's lives. Well, as I said before, you need four things for the system of witchcraft. Notice these soul-killing witches that deform the body. You have a victim, a target, but really a victim. You have the annunciator, the one that says, it's witchcraft, which is an informal thing. Just somebody just says it. Then the unwitcher, the professional who comes by to do battle with and hopefully kill the witch using anti-witchcraft. And I'm pretty comfortable saying that in the majority of the world, when we look at instances of witchcraft, there aren't witches. What there are is systems of anti-witchcraft. So I would be hard-pressed to teach a course on just witchcraft. I would have to teach the course on anti-witchcraft or responses to witchcraft. I mean, this will be changing when we get to the last part of the class when we look at people who actually identify and practice witchcraft in reality these days in the modern era. But that's the modern era. That's we're not, well, I guess in this section, we're not. We are in the modern era. Okay, and then, I mean, you need a witch. So what are you going to do here? Well, the first thing you see is the victim. Let's think about the victim. Now, witchcraft is not from one-off events. If you fall and break your toe, that's not witchcraft. It's if you break your toe, it gets infected, then you break your leg, and then you suffer terrible headaches, and you stop sleeping for weeks and get really depressed, all spiraling from that initial injury. That's witchcraft. So there's a pattern of unfortunate events, and Faversada also describes the person having the witchcraft as having a sort of malaise, a sort of lethargic depression. Now, if they went to a doctor, this bewitched person would just say, you don't sleep enough, you work too much, you drink too much. If you go to a priest, the priest would say that, hey, you've got a lot of bad things happening to you. That's an opportunity for God to show you grace. Suffering is the nature of humanity in God's world. I mean, rarely a priest might call an exorcist, but that's not likely to happen. Maybe more so these days. That's an intriguing thing. Even if the priest does say, go out to the farm and does like a blessing of the farm to get rid of the witch, the locals say that priest ain't going to work unless the witch that has cast the spell is very, very weak. So it'll only work on a little spell. So for the outsider, and also no priest or doctor would really have the powers that the unwitcher has. For the outsider, for one who's not caught up, these patterns would just be dismissed. But for the victim, they are caught. It's like there are holes in their soul. I kind of I've been thinking about this through. It's pretty cool. It's like there are holes in their soul, right? And the witch is able to get into that hole and grab the vital energy and siphon it off into himself, enriching himself. Kind of cool. Only one who is caught by witchcraft can actually speak about it. And they can really only talk to the unwitcher because they're the only one that's going to know what's going on. Once someone has been declared bewitched, they really start to withdraw from the world for fear of encountering a witch and for fear that, or not really for fear, and the fact that their whole mental world is a world of witchcraft now, which is completely different from the average everyday world of their neighbors. They withdraw from society because of their infliction and their fear about actually encountering the witch. And if you think that that seems silly, then you don't understand how scary it is to be bewitched, as we'll see. To someone who is caught, she writes, one speaks in a different way depending on whether the person is given the position of the bewitched or the unwitcher. No one talks to the alleged witch, but his very silence, this very silence, is in itself a whole discourse, the silent assertion of a fight to the death. And that always has some effect on someone who might know or not know. There'll be implications to being named a witch. All right, then you have the annunciator. This is a person who declares the bewitched to be bewitched. Now remember, witchcraft is words, deadly words. The witchcraft system is not about spells and rituals, but words and claims. When the person says, I think you are afflicted by witchcraft or you are afflicted by witchcraft, it's a speech act. From then on, the person is viewed as bewitched by the annunciator, by the unwitcher who will come, by their family members around. The annunciator is not a formal position. Anybody can really do it. The thing that makes it witchcraft is about somebody declaring it witchcraft. So someone can feel terrible and blah, 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 but they won't declare themselves witchcraft. It requires another person to prescribe the witchery, to make the witchery real. Everybody knows about witchcraft in the bocage, but it's also a secret. It's a social norm, but it's also a secret norm. So what do we know about secrets? Secrets only work if somebody tells them. If you don't tell anyone your secret, then it's just one thing that only one person knows. So we talk about doing things in secret, keeping things secret, but every time we're talking about secret or engaging in secretive behaviors, we're doing them with other people and hiding them from others. So a public secret is like a secret that we all know. It's public, but we don't really say it. Like the fact that there is no Santa Claus is a great public secret. Okay, so finally you come to the unwitcher. Now, the unwitcher goes blow for blow with the witch. It's combat. They turn the dynamic around, so it's no longer that the witch is siphoning off the life force from the victim, but the anti-witcher takes that energy, switches it around, and pulls the life force of the witch, pulling them. This is a zero-sum game. Either the witch is killed or the unwitcher and the victim are killed. It's deadly combat. It's war. Is it any surprise that she studied war in the past? She finds a lot of war here. Go figure. So, in a way, the unwitcher is also caught. They are caught in this brutal system of witchcraft, and they are implicated in the battle. They also suffer from the battle. But unlike the bewitched, they're not hapless victims. The unwitcher is a brutal avenger against the witch. They are locked in combat for one another's very souls, or the force within the soul. Souls are kind of sketchy here. Anyway, the victim tells the unwitcher everything about their life, their mental state, all their daily behaviors and everything. And the unwitcher will sort out what is witchcraft and what is not, and apply remedies that could be spells or fetishes, like an amulet or something like that, or perform these intricate energy battles with the witch. We'll look at those. There's an undeniably therapeutic aspect to this relationship. Some victims describe their unwitcher as being able to read them like an open book, which makes sense because once the relationship is established, then they're in constant personal communication. The true power of the unwitcher is not in their knowledge or their spells, but in their persona as a powerful entity. In fact, there is no clear pattern of techniques. There's no clear established methodology for unwitching. What there is the deployment of a personal potency and personal force and weight against the witch. Now, for the witch, there are no witches, but we got to think about the witch at the same time. So the witch, as someone in the bocage would say, it is not the devil that causes misfortune for a victim. It is a man. And what kind of a person is that? It is now time to give a little information about the position of the witch. No one in the bocage calls himself a witch. It is not a position from which even one can speak. A witch never admits his crimes, not even when he's delirious in a psychiatric hospital. This is considerably different from exotic witchcrafts, in fact. The witch is where people would declare themselves witches or whatnot. The witch is the person referred to by those who utter the discourse on witchcraft, the people who are bewitched and the unwitchers. And he only figures in that as the subject of a statement, as the cause for everything that's happening. His victims claims that it is unnecessary for him to admit that he is a witch, since his death when he dies from the unwitcher speaks for him. Everyone laughs at his funeral because he died in a significant way, carried off in only a few hours as the result of a diviner's curse, of the unwitcher's curse, or neighing like a mare, neighing like the mare that he had cast a spell upon, and so forth. This makes it highly unlikely that there are witches who actually catch evil spells. But this is surely not in the least necessary for the system to function. So one of the really cool things that I find about this book that's really innovative is she's going to have these really cool charts toward the end. And these charts will demonstrate the way that the energy is thought to move from the bewitched to the witch, and then onto the unwitcher, and then back onto the witch, Or if you look right here, and this bottom one is kind of great, that the bewitcher, oh, these are backward. That the bewitcher is actually able to cast the witch aside, take control of the witch, and then because the witch isn't getting any energy from anybody at that point, boom, gotta find a new victim. Witches do bewitching. All right, one last little thing and we'll be done. I'll see you in just a sec.